Every time the radical left Democrats, Marxists, communists, and fascists indict me, I consider it a great badge of courage. I'm being indicted for you, and I believe the you is more than 200 million people that love our country. They're out there, and they love our country.
The disgraced former president appearing at the Faith and Freedom Coalition, surrounded by an audience of far-right and Christian nationalists, sycophants, basically. Now, the thing that excites me the most about this conversation that we're about to have is the fact that we now are getting into the realms of insanity. Not that we weren't there in the first place, but to have a guy who clearly has no faith, who cares nothing for the Bible or for Jesus or for Christianity or Catholicism or anything, has no interest in it. That is not his world. His world is big business and money and ripping people off and surrounding himself with some of the worst characters in history, the Roger Stones, the Paul Manaforts, even the Jeffrey Epsteins. That's who Donald Trump is. And for some reason, he's been adopted by these Christian nationalists and their desire to kind of project him as the second coming, as the Messiah. And he knows this full well. So he will just lie his way through a routine. It's like a stand-up routine for him to perform in front of these people. It's not based in truth. There's no soul. He doesn't really believe anything that he's saying, but he knows that he doesn't really have a choice because his back is up against the wall and he's nervous. He's indicted. He has more indictments coming. He basically is up against the wall. Everyone's flipping on him, so he's now pulling out all of these extremist stops, saying anything he can in front of people to try and win back the presidency, to be seen as some kind of messiah character that might prevent him from going to a federal prison. And the reality is now that reality has caught up with him because there are no excuses for his behavior. There are no excuses for the crimes that he's committed. So to paint himself as somebody who is carrying these crimes for the viewer, for the audience, for the congregation, is a new angle. You know, I am your retribution, he said in the past. Now he's saying, I am being indicted for you. Now, think about that. It's like a double negative. He's effectively saying, well, you know, I am committing these crimes for you. I am being punished for you. And he's also used the language in the past where he'll say that, you know, they're coming for me now, but they're coming for you next. Mike Flynn, General Mike Flynn, the guy who twice lied to the FBI and then got a pardon from Donald Trump in the last week of his presidency. I mean, people like him have been sowing the seeds of this, preparing Donald Trump for this role. And now Trump is there trying to reap all of the glory. And to anybody who lives in reality, anybody like you and I who are critical thinkers, who can see what is going on, to us it is embarrassing, it is painful, and it is so blatantly obvious as a sham, as a scam, as a confidence trick, another way to fundraise. And sadly, you know, a lot of these Christian people are very generous, and they will literally give him their last dime. And, you know, as we know, he's taking, you know, a small percentage of campaign funds and diverting them towards his legal fees. I mean, he doesn't seem to care. So here we have a disgraced former president who is so desperate, who is so up against it now, will stop at nothing, will say anything, no matter how much it brings down the United States. He is burning it down. Because, you see, we rely on public figures to maintain a modicum of decorum. It's the decorum that keeps the system functioning. And the moment you have a loose cannon or somebody who's like out on their own, who's given up on the system and just wants to just run with it and, you know, cause chaos, that is when you get the collapse of the democracy. And that is what he wants to do. And that's the guidance that he's getting from Steve Bannon and from Roger Stone and from all of the people that have been giving him advice over the years. And these are people who themselves are flawed criminals. And, just think about what's happening to the United States now as Donald Trump goes on these tours, doing his best to get out in front of as many people as possible, and including fringe groups. He is just desperate for any support, both for fundraising and to give the impression that he's more popular than he is. He is not popular. It is a small kind of faction of the voter who thinks that Donald Trump is the Messiah, and it is not the majority, and he did not win the 2020 election. All of this has come about because he refused to concede. He hates being told what to do. He wanted to keep those documents as mementos or to use as leverage or compromat. And he now has been caught. And in the process of being caught, he is on the run. And he will blow up as much of the American democratic system as he can on the way to the courtroom. And we have to be very aware of how dangerous this individual is becoming. The wheels are coming off. And don't expect this to get better. Don't expect him to learn any lessons. Don't expect him to put his tail between his legs or to admit liability. He's going to keep lying. He's going to keep fundraising. And he's going to stop at nothing until the system is on its knees. Until America has crashed and burned.
This whole world is on fire. This world is on fire. Before I even arrive at the Oval Office, I will have the horrible war between Russia and Ukraine totally settled. I'll have it done in 24 hours. I say that, and I would do that. That's easy compared to some of the things, but I'd get that done in 24 hours. I know them both. I know them both. As the Bible says, blessed are the peacemakers. See that? I will be your peacemaker. I was your peacemaker. Oh, that's great. Blessed are the peacemakers.
And to have the audacity to claim that he could end the war between Russia and Ukraine in 24 hours because he knows both parties is pure fantasy. Yeah, he knows Vladimir Putin a little too well. He knows Volodymyr Zelensky because he tried to extort him and was impeached for it. And the fact that he's actually using these relationships as collateral for trying to get re-elected and for trying to fundraise is laughable. Donald Trump has zero ability as a peacemaker, whether it be a blessed peacemaker or your regular peacemaker. He has no diplomatic skills. He knows nothing about international relations or foreign affairs. He is the last of the diplomats. He really has zero diplomatic skill or ability. And so to paint himself as this kind of deal maker or peacemaker, again, is pure fantasy. And he knows it. I mean, you can see in this speech that he is sad, he is struggling. He needed to be put up in front of a crowd that was going to scream and celebrate him and applaud. And he's just trying to find some kind of inner strength to continue, considering that he really is now completely desperate and running out of options. And he knows that the Justice Department is catching up with him and that they have enough evidence, including recordings as well as a whole bunch of people flipping on him, who will be the reason that he will end up in a penitentiary, whether it be a federal prison or house arrest at Mar-a-Lago. I'm Anthony Davis. You can hear me every day on the 5-Minute News podcast, on Wednesdays on MAGA Uncovered with Ron Filipkowski, and on Sundays hosting The Weekend Show with Midas Touch.